Oh, you got your new packet. If you didn't get one, make sure that you come grab one. But we're going to start off with looking up a house on Zillow. Okay, if you don't know what Zillow is, just go into Google and type Zillow, or you can go to Zillow, I think it's .com. Yeah. Okay, you're going to find a house. Now, keep in mind how many kids you're going to have. Okay, in your adulting project, how many kids are you going to have? And think about where you are trying to be. If you're trying to go work in California, then you obviously need to be in California. If you're trying to be here, fine. Okay, so you want to make sure that you search that location. And then when you like type in a place, I think I spelled Swanee wrong. It's fine. But I gotta take off this filter. Okay, you can set it to have a monthly payment, a certain amount. Is there no homes? There it is. Okay, cool. So like I would look at this house and I would say, all right, the outside looks okay, the backyard looks okay. All right, it's got 3-bed, 2-bath. Does that work for my lifestyle? Does that work for my dogs or whatever? Okay. So you want to think about personal factors. Now, right here it says, here's your monthly payment. Okay. Something to keep in mind is how much do you make? Some of y'all on y'all's projects are apparently going to make $100,000 or more starting off coming out of college. And some of y'all also put that your total expenses were like $700. That don't work. That's not it. Okay. I'm going to think about this is just to be in the house. This is not including water. This is not including electric, not including Netflix. If you are required to have gas at your house, if you are required to, like, there are other things. So not only is it this payment, but it's on top of it. Your average electric bill for 4-person house is about $200. Okay, so add $200 a month on top of that. Okay, so I want you to kind of think about this. Find a house that kind of works for you. If you want to go ahead and put it into your project, fine. But I also want you to think, how much of your monthly income is this? Okay, if you make $4,000 a month and your house payment is $2,000, that's not going to be sustainable for very long. Okay, you want it to be about 1/3 to like maybe a little bit above that. You don't want it to be half of your payment because remember, all of the utility bills are on top of that. Okay, go ahead and take a moment. I want you to do a little bit of research that we were looking at in the last class. Somebody said that they wanted to live in Oklahoma. And I was like, okay, cool. Apparently his job is in Oklahoma. And I was like, can you find a house that's worth $150,000? So he found one, right? Let's take a look at it. This is what it looks like. Okay. 150. Right. 1 bathroom for 3 bedrooms.
At least have like one bathroom, half. Like,
Like a half. Just gotta, somebody hogging up the bathroom, it's game over. That is the kitchen. I don't know where the stove is. I don't know where the stove is. Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to hate on this house. I mean, like, everybody needs something different, but like, the trap house. Okay. And then here's a bathroom. This one sent me. It's the fact that there's a big window inside the shower. Nobody else thinks that's weird. I think that's weird. Like, okay, a window up, like to vent, great, fabulous. A window like you got your side profile in. No. No.
it's 1,000 square feet.
Mhm.
It has 2 bathrooms.
How much is it? Exactly. Okay, so location. This is out in the middle of Oklahoma. What do they have in Oklahoma?
It's a 3 bedroom.
They've got corn in Oklahoma and tornadoes in Oklahoma. Huh? You can put in a bathroom for about $10,000. You can put in a bathroom. So, but look at the backyard. It's spacious. It's got some stuff. Okay. By the way, do you know what makes a bedroom actually like a bedroom, classified as a bedroom? It has a closet. Okay. So if you have a bonus room and you add in a closet, that's a bedroom. Now, it does have to have like a hallway. Like it can't be you walk through a bedroom to get into the bonus room. That's not a bedroom then. But if you walk through, or if you have straight access to that room, then it could be considered a bedroom. Okay. If you wanted to make a den turned into a bedroom, you could. Okay. So I'm actually in the process of selling my house. Yay. Thank you. Yeah. Um, okay, so let me mute myself really quick because okay, so equity is the amount, the difference between what you owe on the house versus what it is appraised for. Okay, so we're going to talk about that in just a second, and I'll show you the math and why I'm selling my house. Right. Okay, so everyone in my neighborhood is around 300. So I can potentially sell it for 300. I may be able to get more for it though. Yeah. Let's look at your notes. So pros and cons for buying homes. Okay, so the pros, you're going to build equity, you're going to build wealth. The cons, it's harder to relocate. Sometimes nobody wants to buy your house. Okay, so if you're trying to sell your house, sometimes it goes on the market, nobody buys it, you take it off the market, then you come back, you try to sell it again. Okay, that's kind of hard. Also, maintenance. The other day, my toilet started to continuously run. That means that water was leaking. And every time that water pours into a toilet, what happens is it charges you, right? Every time you flush the toilet, it charges you basically. Okay. So if it's continuously running, it is going to be astronomically huge. So now I have to go figure out how to fix my toilet, right? Okay. Fortunately, we live in the day and age of YouTube. So I got to do it myself and not pay a plumber $600 to come fix my toilet. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now, renting a home, it's easier to relocate and you're not responsible for the maintenance. So if something happens, then your landlord would come in, take care of it, and then you would move on with your life. You can't really change the home when you're renting, unless you get like approval from the person. Okay. You don't build equity. Okay. That's another thing with renting. You don't build equity. Okay. Yeah. The biggest part of renting is probably the whole relocation piece. For instance, like I rented when I went to Athens for school. I didn't want to buy a house then because it doesn't make sense to live there for like maybe 2 to 4 years. What if I transferred schools? Then I would have to sell that house, and that's a whole thing. And houses out there are they're either really expensive or they're crap. One of the two, right? Sorry, people, if you're from Athens, but that's how it works. Okay. Questions on that? Okay. All right. I'm gonna get rid of this really quick. Okay. The first step in home buying process is to decide if buying a house is the right decision for you. This decision can depend on several factors, such as your lifestyle, goals, and finances. Okay. Why would you need renter's insurance if you're going to rent? Well, it covers the destruction of personal belongings while you are renting. It covers the destruction of personal belongings while you are renting. Okay. There is homeowners insurance that covers fires. Sometimes they cover floods. Sometimes they cover tornadoes. Sometimes they cover, say again? Anybody have another one? No? Flooding, yeah. When you are trying to buy a home, you need to make sure that it's not in a flooding zone. If it floods, what happens is water seeps into your foundation and then mold starts to build up and then eventually your house will crumble. Okay, so you do not want to be in a flood zone if you can avoid it. Okay. Good. All right, so let's start talking numbers. Okay, so Allison is moving into a 2-bedroom apartment in Decatur. The monthly rent is $2,000 and her upfront fees are shown. How much can she expect to pay from her upfront for the apartment? So when you rent, you have an application fee of 3% of the month rent. Okay, so how much would this be? This would be 3%. I'm going to change that to a decimal, and then I'm going to multiply by how much it is. So what is this going to give me? 3% of 2,000. Percent of 2,000. 60. Okay. We've got a credit application fee. Anytime somebody pulls your credit and they look at how many loans you've had, etc., that's going to be $20 to $30. Okay. So when I'm trying to buy my new house and they run my credit or they pull my credit, it's going to cost me about 20 bucks. Okay. Yeah. It also drops your credit score by like 15 points anytime somebody pulls your credit score. Okay. Security deposit. So this is 1 month's rent and last month's rent. So that's 2,000 plus another 2,000. So that's going to be 4,000. Broker's fee. Okay. When you rent a home from someone, they have a mortgage. And that mortgage came from a broker or a lender. Okay. So they have to pay their mortgage. And there's also a fee on top of that for the broker. So 14% of 1 year's rent. So that's going to be 0.14 times 12 times 2,000. Why did I do 12 times 2,000? Because we're doing a year, right? Okay. And when I do that, that's going to give me 24,000. Oh, I'm sorry. JK. 12 times 2,000 is 24,000 times 0.14, and that's going to give me 3,300. 30. The answer key was wrong. Let me go back in here. $3,360. There it is. Okay. Now you're going to add these things up. You're going to say 60 plus 20 plus 4,000 plus 3,360. Sorry, that was so correct. Okay. When you add that up, what do you get? Add that up, what do you get? $7,540? 440. Okay, so before you have even moved in, before you've even gotten your stuff all in there, you are having to spend $7,440. Now, the good thing is your first month's rent and your last month's rent are already paid. That's cool, right? So that first month that you're living there, you don't have to pay rent because you've already paid it, right? But the problem is you got to make sure that you have $7,440 before you even walk into the premises. Let that settle in. What's up? Yeah. So when you do your application, they kind of give you upfront. They're like, hey, it's going to be due first month's rent. I think I did first month's rent, last month's rent, the $20 fee, and there was like a little percent thing. I think the application fee was like 6%. I didn't have to pay a broker's fee because I was renting an apartment. When you rent a house, it's a little different. Yep. Cool. But yes, you do know this up front. You don't walk in and just like go, oh crap, 7,000, right? That would be wild.
Doesn't go that often, that's just something.
Yes, upfront is, hey, I'm signing papers and I need to bring this much money. Yeah. So once you've viewed the apartment or viewed the home, and you decided to live there, then you go and you talk to the office and you're like, hey, I want to move in this date. And then you start signing papers. That's when you need to bring the amount. Before you can move in, you have to have that amount. So sometimes they might give you like a week to get it to them. Like, hey, I gotta go grab my checkbook. I'll come bring it back. Sometimes they'll let you do that. But if you don't bring it by that deadline, then you lose rights to the house. Yep. Okay, so Logan is renting an apartment. This one's a little weird, so make sure you read with me. Logan is renting an apartment that'll cost $E per month. He must pay $A application fee and $C credit application. His security deposit is 2 months rent, and he must pay last month's rent up. He must pay 7% broker fee of the annual rent as an apartment finder fee. So we're going to write an equation to represent the total cost of signing a lease with these conditions. Okay, so we're going to say F equals, what's the first thing he has to pay? Okay, application fee, so that's A. Okay, in this problem, they don't have numbers, they just have letters. Okay, don't get freaked out by it. So A plus, you've got to have your credit application, so plus C. Plus, he has a security deposit of 2 months rent. Rent represents D. We're going to say 2D. Plus, he also has to pay last month's rent. And he has to do 7% of the annual rent as an apartment fee finder. Okay, so all I did was, as I'm reading, I'm making an equation. Okay? All right, now I'm going to simplify. I can combine these two. Okay? So I can combine those two. And so I'm going to get A plus C plus 3D. I can multiply these two together. And that's going to give us 0.84D. Is there anything else that we can combine? Well, we can combine these two D's. We can get A plus C plus 3.84D, and that equals F. You're gonna have a question like this. Okay, here we go. All right, so Kimberly moved into a new apartment to be close to her job. She's gonna pay $2,100 per month in rent and expects a 2.5% increase each year. Write an exponential function to represent the price of rent after X years. Just a reminder, we're going to use that formula, that A times 1 plus R raised to the T. So how much is our initial? How much is our initial? How much is you going to pay per month? 2,100. And then we're going to have our percent change to a decimal. That's going to be 0.025. And we're going to raise it to the P power or X, whatever you want to say there. Now, if you put X here, that's fine, because it does say after X years. Remember, we're writing an equation, so we want to set it equal to Y. Okay. Now, what can Kimberly expect the rent to be after 8 years? So what are we going to do? We're going to plug in 8 into our equation. Take a moment, go ahead and plug that in. All right, so in 8 years, her monthly payment is going to be $2,558.65. Again, all I did was I plugged 8 into my X. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have put it up here. My bad. That should be here. Okay. Questions on that one? All right, go ahead and read number 5. See if you can figure that one out. Okay. Let's chat about it. So, I didn't realize I was still on pause. So it says that annual monthly rent increases at Loving Life Apartments can be represented by this function. What is the percent increase? So just a reminder, this is your formula. If I'm trying to find the rent, or I'm sorry, the percent increase, all I have to do is take this number, 1.045, and subtract 1. If I multiply by 100, that gives me a decimal of 4.5%. So, yeah, I wouldn't use the unit price on that one. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now we're going to start talking about buying a house. So instead of renting, we're actually going to buy. So if you're considering buying a house, it's important to understand how home equity actually works. Okay, so remember my example. I'm selling my house, but I bought my house for 170. Okay, so I bought it at 170. I'm trying to sell it for 300. Okay, how equity works is I bought at 170. I think it was 175. It might have been 175. All right, I still owe 168 on the house. This is how much I owe. This is how much I bought it for. And this is how much I'm trying to sell it for. Okay, so you take how much you're going to sell it for, and you subtract how much you owe, and that's how much your equity is. Okay, so how much you're going to sell minus how much you owe, that's your equity. Okay, so somebody figure out 300 minus 168. So what you got? 300 minus 168. 132. Okay, so I have $132,000 in equity. That means when I sell my house, I get $132,000. Now, that's not including closing costs, which we're going to talk about that in just a second. So there's that. But now when I purchase my next home, I can take that money and I can put it as a down payment. Okay, which we're going to talk about that in just a second. Okay. Now, the problem with renting is you don't get that equity. Whatever money you're putting in there, you're just racking it up. Like you're just paying a monthly thing. It doesn't go and profit you in any way. I did zero work. I just lived in a house and I made $132,000. Does that make sense? Okay. Now I don't get that money until I sell my house. Okay. But it is there. Okay. So how can buying a house help you build up wealth? Okay. Well, it forces you to save and build equity. Forces you to save and build equity. Come in. Hey, what's up? Derek is not here. Yeah, sorry. Say it again. Okay, Home Skillet recently bought a $225,000 condo He took out 200,000 mortgage loan. Which of the following scenarios would increase his equity? Select all that apply. So, would being the market value of the condo increasing to 245, would that increase his equity? So keep in mind, I bought my house at 170. It's now up to 300. Did that increase my equity? Yes. So A would help. Okay.
Why do someone sell them?
I'm just giving projected numbers. That's how much I bought my house for. Yeah. The market value decreased to 200,000. Is that going to help build up his equity? No. Okay. What about he pays his mortgage regularly for 6 months and now he only owes 198,790? Yeah. Okay. What about he missed his first mortgage payment and now owes $200,052? Is that going to help? No. Okay, so you never want to miss a mortgage payment. If you miss a mortgage payment, it's really bad. Really bad. Okay? If you miss a second one, you potentially could lose your home. You cannot miss mortgage payment. Okay? Cool? Good talk. Not to scare you, but okay. Renting long term does not lead to building wealth. Why is this generally the case? Renting long term does not generally lead to building wealth. Why is this the case? Okay. And you also can't take advantage of the increase in value of a house. So, for instance, I was looking at options for buying a house. And one of the options, because like I love land. I don't want to be around people. Love you. But like I don't want to be around people when I go home. So I want a ton of land. Well, did you know that you can buy like 50 acres for like 200,000? And then you could like put a trailer on it, right? Or you could like put like some type of like house on it. Do you know that trailers depreciate in value? Why? So somebody said that it's kind of like a car because it's movable, right? Yeah. Also, normally they tend to like get damaged quicker. Like they're not made of like sturdy material because they're able to be moved, right? So they depreciate in value. So like if I did that, I would get no equity. It would be zero equity on that. So I would just be buying the land. So that wouldn't be great. So not a really good option. Is it doable? Yes. If I want to keep that land forever and never move again, sure, I could do that. Okay. What are personal factors that you should consider before buying a house? Does it matter where you live? Yeah. So location, because, not only talking about for your job, but also, do you want to live in the city? Do you want to live in the suburbs? Do you want to live in a neighborhood versus not in a neighborhood? What you get for finances. Finances. Somebody in my last class is like, yeah, I'm gonna have a $2.4 million house. Yeah. Bedrooms. So do you want to have children? Yep, lifestyle. If you like having really nice clothes, but you want also a really expensive house, but you don't have like a job that pays really well, not really gonna work out. Okay.
I don't know if this will not take into consideration, but I also like to
But I bought my first house. Well, I bought this house because of my dogs. Because it has a huge backyard and it's fenced in. So I bought the house. Like I could live in a shoebox as long as they have a place. So maybe that's just me. My house has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. So, which I feel like it's too much for me. Like, what am I gonna do with 3 bedrooms? One's an office, one's my bedroom, and then the other one's like a semi-guest bedroom. Kind of weird. Your job, yeah. So like location is gonna be part of that. Finance is gonna be part of that. Yep. All right. When you buy a home, you generally pay a portion of the house price up front at the time of purchase. This is called a down payment. It's called a down payment. What percent is the typical down payment for a first-time buyer? This is about 6%. Okay. So when you are going to purchase a house, you have to pay up front. Just like when you were renting, you have to have first month's rent, last month's rent, right? In this case, we're going to do a 6% down payment. So I need you to think about the house that you picked at the beginning of class or the one that you have on your project. Go ahead and find 6% of whatever the amount was for that house. So everybody's is going to be different. Okay. Take whatever your house was that you found out at the beginning of class or for your project. Take 6% of that. So multiply it by 0.06. And look at that number. So how much did you have to bring? 70,000? 17. Okay. What'd you get? How much do you have to bring as a down payment? Okay, so for my next house, I have to bring $23,000. Yeah. Okay, you're saying that's not that bad, but do you have that in your bank account? Okay. All right, so Angie is working two jobs to save enough money to get out of her rental and buy a home. Found a house in a neighborhood she lives close to for $125,000. She saved $4,500. Does she have enough for the down payment? Why do you say that? Okay. So if we take 125,000 and we multiply it by 0.06, we get 7,500. How much does she have saved?
40.
Okay, so she doesn't have enough. Okay, so why can it be beneficial to increase your credit score before buying a house? So your credit score impacts how much of a loan you can get. Okay, what's a good credit score? I mean, that's a great credit score, but a good credit score, 700s, 800s is like you're killing it, you're crushing the game. What's a trash credit score? Oh. Anything below 650 is not so great. Okay, now look at this APR. Look at this APR. Notice how it increases the lower you go. So the more trash your credit score is, the higher your interest rate is. That means you have a higher monthly payment. Why? Because what? Right, they don't trust you, right? So hey, give us more money because we don't trust you with your money, right? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna find the monthly payment for each one of these. Okay, you're going to use that lovely formula. Okay, I want you to use your Desmos sliders, and we're going to use these percentages to help us. So here's our principal. It's a 30-year fixed loan. So when you type this in, you're gonna put 100,000. It's 30 years, and you're paying it monthly. So you have a mortgage when you're buying a house. Okay, so go ahead and change up the R value. Go ahead and find it for each one. I'm gonna give you a little bit of time to do this. Okay. Okay. What about 660? Say point. Okay. What about the next one? What about the next one? 700.92. I was like, that's a big jump, yo. Okay, and the last one.
6,700.
Try that again. For the monthly payment? Check that again. Shouldn't be over. Did you do 0.08071? $738.72. Yeah. Okay, now how do we figure out what the total interest paid was? This one always blows my mind. All right, I'm just gonna do it for the first one so we could just kind of have a conversation. You don't have to do the rest of them. But my monthly payment on this first one, right, is $630.88. We're gonna multiply that by 12 months. How long is this going for? 30 years. All right, so we're gonna go into Desmos and we're gonna say 630.88 times 12 times 30. Okay, I pay $227,116 by the end of this, right? How much did I actually take out? I only took out 100,000. I will have paid $127,116.80. How'd I get this?
No, I know how you got
So then I took what my principal amount was, how much I actually took out, and I subtracted this from that.
Oh.
Yep. I'm sorry, that from this. All right, now to compare that to somebody who has a trash credit score. Okay, that means that we're doing 738.72 times 12 times 30. You're going to Desmos. 738.72 times 12 times 30. They pay 265,939.20. So they will have paid an interest of 165,939.2. So look how much of a difference that is, right? Now, if we were dealing with bigger numbers, there's going to be a bigger gap. Okay, but we're only dealing with 100,000. By the way, can't really buy a house for 100,000. That's not a house. That's like a shack. Maybe like a toilet. Like that's it. Yeah. Not as they're out there though. That's the thing. Okay, cool. Go ahead and flip the page. Okay, I'll go back and I'll fix this. Okay. Actually, let me do one switch. Okay. So the length of the loan in years also has a large impact on the interest paid. The most common home loans are 15 years and 30 years. Shorter loans typically have lower interest rate, but higher monthly payments. So you're going to pay more throughout, but by 15 years, you will own your home. Okay, so that's really nice. You get to own your home in 15 years. Then you have no mortgage payments. Okay, so that's really great. All right, your bank has approved you for a 15-year loan at 4.75 interest rate or a 30-year loan at 5%. Your principal is 150. How much will you save in interest with a 15-year loan? How much will you save per month for a 30-year loan? Keep in mind, this is your $150,000 home. Okay? Now, if I try to find a $150,000 home in Atlanta, it will not work. Like, there's too many people, so they increase that price. Okay, so what I want you to do is you've got option 1 and you've got option 2. Okay, I want you to find what's your monthly payment for each one of these. Your monthly for each. And then I want you to figure out how much you're going to pay in interest. Okay, and how much you've saved doing a 15-year loan versus a 30. Okay, so go ahead and find the monthly payment, find the interest, and find how much you save. Again, hang with me. I know it's a lot of math. Okay, so you got 15-year loan at 4.75%, and we're doing it for 150,000, right? Okay, so if we come in here, we type in 150,000, 0.0475, we're doing it for 15 years. What's our monthly payment? And silence is very reassuring. $1,166.75, right? Okay, and how much is that going to be in total? Let's go ahead and find that one out. Option. Okay, so that means that I'm going to take that amount and I'm going to multiply it times. I'm going to multiply it times 12 times 15. So that's going to be $210, $15. For option 2, what was the rate for that one? For option 2, is it 5%? Okay. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to change this to 5%. I'm going to change it to 30 years. And now look at my payment. My payment is 805.23. Okay. And then now I want to figure out what it is total. So 805.23, we're going to multiply it times 12 months times 30 years. And that's going to be 289,882.8. Look at the difference between a 15-year loan and a 30-year loan. Here to here. Okay. If you subtract those two, that's a $79,000 difference. Really $80,000. $80,000 difference. Okay. So like I would personally want the 15-year loan, but my payments are going to be $1,000. Can I do that? Well, that's for you to determine, right? Does that make sense? Questions on that? Okay. All right, so buying a home is very expensive. Besides the listing price of the home that you want to buy, there are also a lot of other financial factors that you're going to need to consider. These are called closing costs. They're called closing costs. Okay, so it's not just the down payment. It's got a lot more into it. So this is called the closing costs. So there's an inspection fee where a professional evaluates the property for any issues such as structural, termites, or leaks. Appraisal fee are the costs of having a professional evaluate the property to determine fair market value. Loan origination fee will cover the fees for processing the loan. Title search fee will research the property's history to make sure that the owners actually own it and can sell it. Okay. And then credit report fee will cover the cost of obtaining the borrower's credit report. Closing costs are usually about 3%. Okay. Now, what you can do is you can have the seller actually cover the closing costs. Okay. Okay. So last question. So close. So close. A house lists at 230,000, but the seller accepts your offer at 220, and they will pay half of your closing costs. What's the amount that you should expect to pay? Okay. So what is half of 3%? Half of 3%. 1.5. We're going to take 1.5%, change it to a decimal, and multiply it times 220,000. When we do that, that means that I'm going to pay $3,300 at closing costs. Okay. Questions on that one?